Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball from downtown St. Louis and Busch Stadium. It's a beautiful night as we get you set. It's the Miami Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals, game one of a 4-game series. Rick Horton is here. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is here as well. The Cardinals sending out one of their best in Adam Wainwright. It's really, though, been an up-and-down season at times for him.
The veteran has been great, though, Dan, the last couple of times out. The numbers much better for Adam Wainwright. We look at some of the stats of Adam. The first pitch strike percentage on the bottom is the one that stands out for me, but other metrics much better the last two times than his season average. I'm particularly happy with what we're seeing out of the fastball and his ability to throw that fastball, Dan, to corners. We always talk about the Wainwright curveball. Yes, that's an important pitch, but when he can spot his fastball and get the opponent's batting average to just 143, as he's done in the last two starts, with that fastball, he's much better.
The Toyota key to the game, the fastball of Adam Wainwright. The All-Star game has been announced in terms of who will participate. The Cardinals sending 2. We'll talk about that coming up. State Farm perfect pair. The all-star selections of the Cardinals for Yadier Molina, his 8th career all-star selection. Carlos Martinez with number 2. The history of this franchise has seen so many greats and so many times selected to the Midsummer Classic. Ozzie Smith with 14. Enos Slaughter with 10. The redhead, Hall of Famer Red Schoendienst with 9. Great number 5, Albert Pujols, 9 all-star selections with the Cardinals. Bob Gibson with 8. Yadier Molina back to the Midsummer Classic. He now has 8. Yadi will be catching Adam Wainwright tonight. Wainwright and the Cardinals playing in Game 1, the first of 4 against the Miami Marlins, and baseball is next. Among friends, buy Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. Find yours at your local Mid-America Chevy dealer. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Adam Wainwright gets the start at home, and he has been spectacular here at Busch. Breaking ball struck him out, and the first strikeout for Adam Wainwright. Swing and a miss. Strikes out the side. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts here in the 6th. Curveball, and he struck him out. A good start for Adam Wainwright. It was about a year ago the Cardinals were celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the 2006 World Champions, and Adam Wainwright went the distance against these Marlins. Cardinals taking to the field, and wait a minute. He's not stopping at first. He's on his way to second.
Got the wrong glove.
And that's where Carpenter will be tonight. He's playing second base.
Very interesting. He'll play second, and he had to find an old glove to play second base with. He's been taking ground balls the past couple of days to get ready for this potential of getting Luke Voit some more at-bats. He'll be playing first base here tonight.
There's a look at Luke Voit, who is 4 for 10 to start his major league career with a couple of doubles, and he's been fun to watch.
Well, and while he's hot, let him swing. He is just enjoying being a big leaguer, and why wouldn't you? A local product who's getting a chance, and he's not getting a chance, he earned the chance. Big time home run potential. We haven't necessarily seen a lot of that at this level yet, but we're still early. Nice to see Adam Wainwright starting this first game of the series. He's our Hyundai pitch arsenal. We'll look at his arsenal. 47% fastballs from Wainwright. He's used his cutter much better the last few starts as well. Again, I'll say the command of his fastball critical for Adam Wainwright, but you want your leader starting off a series, especially when he's on an uptick.
A look at D. Gordon, Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich here in the first for Miami. Then Ozuna, Bohr, Prado, Real Muto, Riddle, and Locke. Mike Matheny and the Cardinals with a loss last night. Their record now stands at 39-42. Basically the same record from a year ago this time.
The Cardinals go 5-2 going into the break. They'll finish above 500 before the All-Star break. We've had our first half of the season. That was the game yesterday. Officially, this is game 2 of the second half. But going into the All-Star break above 500, that would be an accomplishment.
And a strike to D. Gordon. And in this division, hovering around 500 keeps you in the race. D. Gordon batting .285, no home runs, and he's driven in 18.
How can you not be amped up wearing socks like that? Pitching in your home ballpark where he's been very successful. Wainwright with the red, white, and blue socks. Because some guys choosing not to show those great colors.
Are you a fan?
Actually, I am, because it's 4th of July. Any other day, I would say no, but it fits the occasion.
The 2-1. D. Gordon with 29 stolen bases this year. He's only been caught 5 times. It caused a lot of havoc at the top of a lineup. The 3-1.
And this is a good Marlins lineup, really from top to bottom. They do not have trouble scoring runs, maybe consistently at times, but they've got some boppers. They've got guys like Gordon that can get on. Their issue has been starting pitching.
3-2 is hit the other way. A diving stop and a throw to first. Gets away from Voit. And D. Gordon on his way to second base. And sliding in safely.
Cardinals trying to do a little bit too much. Maybe Voit trying to do a little bit too much with that bubble on his face too. But there's the diving play, really quick movement, and Voit just tried to stop it, and Gordon goes all the way into right field. He actually rounded first base, probably was as close to Piscotty as anybody else, and then headed on to second.
Odd seeing Stanton batting second in this lineup, and as Rick mentioned, it is loaded with guys that have tremendous power potential. Stan with 21 home runs, and he's driven in 50. All-Star game will be in Miami. It'll be the home run derby a week from tonight.
Don Mattingly knows his team better than you and I, Dan, but we were both talking about an odd position to see Stanton. Is he going to try to hit the ball to the right side now to move Gordon from second to third? I hardly think so.
And a shift on here with 3 on the left side of the infield. Breaking ball taken high. Look at the Kubota power stats with Stanton in the batter's box. So every 14.31 at bats, he's popping one out of her.
And that's why you don't try to move him over. But in the second spot, if you want a little movement on the bases, you're not going to get it that way.
And it's 2-1. 6 o'clock starts here locally. Tough sun field in right. And tonight that's Stephen Piscotty. A 2-1 pitch to Stanton. Hits it off the end of the bat, and a foul ball. He's 0 for 9, 4 walks against Adam Wainwright in his career. Currently 4th in the National League with those 21 home runs, and tied with Eric Thames of Milwaukee. The 2-2 pitch. And a strikeout.
Talked about the fastball being an important pitch for Adam Wainwright, and not just having it, not just throwing it, not so much velocity, but where's the location? That's on the inside corner, up and in, tied him up. And I think we're seeing a lot of hitters, Dan, looking for curveballs, and they're getting fastballs in counts they're used to seeing the curveball from Wainwright. I think that's smart. He's making an adjustment.
So 1 out, runner at second base, and it's Christian Yelich. Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's defense around the horn. Grichuk, Pham, Piscotty in the outfield. Jerko, DeYoung, Carpenter, and Voit along the infield, and Yadier Molina is behind the plate.
Now with 1 out, you have to be careful with Gordon, who loves to run. It's DeYoung's job, not Carpenter's, with a left-handed batter, to keep him close at second base.
And the 1-0 instead of check on Gordon.
And of course, it's partly Wainwright's job.
Sure.
He's paying attention.
Yelich batting .280 with 7 home runs. He's driven in 38. Many believe there's a batting championship in his future. As part of Team USA and the World Baseball Classic, Miami has him locked up in a long-term deal. Be very interesting to see what the Marlins do at the trade deadline with a sale of their franchise looming. The 2-0 pitch. And time is called.
So I guess you're saying they could be sellers in more ways than one.
Yeah. There's now 3 different groups vying to purchase the Marlins. It's going to be a tough spot there for Don Mattingly too. The 2-0 is hit softly to third. Jerko makes that play. Voit back to third, and Gordon is in there safely. Luke Voit, by the way, is a former catcher. That's how he was drafted by the Cardinals, coming out of Missouri State. Pretty good arm.
Well, the ground ball's hit to the left side, so the runner has to stop, waits for the throw, then takes off. And you can do that if your name is D. Gordon and be safe. Most players can't take this extra base, but he is so fast. Good effort by Voit to at least try to gun him down.
And with 2 outs, it's Marcell Ozuna. 22 home runs. He's driven in 59.
I'm often misunderstood, Dan. Not by you. You understand me, don't you?
Most of the time.
I'll take that. I think I'd love to see the game more balanced as it comes to both power and speed. Not that there's anything wrong with the home run. I think that's an exciting thing in the game today, but to have a balance of it, I think is a better game to watch.
Sure.
And also gives you a plan B if the power's not working. So having a guy like Gordon, love to have 3 or 4 on my team.
Curious as you get a look at the numbers for Stanton and Ozuna against Adam Wainwright, if Ozuna is using a bat by Stanton. What happened the other day in Milwaukee, he had too much pine tar on his bat, and he's got a lot of pine tar on this bat, so they took 2 of them away, and he went and grabbed Stanton's bat and then hit a home run.
And as I understand it, it's not the amount, it's where it is. It's how high is it on the bat. That looks pretty high to me.
Yeah. I'm not sure why you'd want it on the barrel of the bat. Good breaking ball. So they had 1 at bat, threw that out, had another one. They measure it with the width of the plate. Clearly it's over. So he grabs that bat, that's Stanton's, and
boom.
does this.
Is it that easy?
Wow. The 2-2 pitch. Fastball, and he struck him out. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Adam Wainwright. Score, Jeff Locke, the former Pirate, finishing up his warm-up tosses. And leading things off, it'll be Matt Carpenter. Where'd he go? There he is. Followed by Tommy Pham and Stephen Piscotty, Jed Jerko, Yadier Molina, Grichuk, Voit, DeYoung, and Wainwright. Numbers on Jeff Locke this year.
The Marlins have not won a game that Locke has started this year. 6 starts. He's 0-4. They've lost all 6 of them. The former Pirate, who we've seen before, we saw him good at first. And then towards the end of his years with Pittsburgh, he struggled against St. Louis. But he's a fastball changeup guy. He does not throw particularly hard. Has gone back to his old delivery of showing his back to the hitter. The Pirates got him out of that, and he struggled so much he's moved back to it.
The Hyundai pitch arsenal on Jeff Locke.
Again, a lot of changeups, 24%.
One ball and 1 strike on Carpenter, who has 56 walks this year. Tied with Joey Votto and Paul Goldschmidt for the most in the National League.
Is it a 3-2 count yet?
It'll get there.
Okay. You just want me to be patient?
So he's hitting .231, but yet the on-base percentage is near .400.
Incredibly valuable.
The 2-1. Breaks his bat. Out to left field, and it drops in front of Ozuna. Got by him, and backing up was Yelich. And staying at first, it's Carpenter.
I'm not sure he saw that ball very well. We talked about the sun earlier. He's talking with Yelich right now. I don't think he got a very good jump. The bat is an X-bat at the moment. He cracks it right in the middle of the plate, and Ozuna is not quite sure what to do with it. Backs up at the last second and still has trouble playing it. So Carpenter's aboard. You talked about Carpenter's on-base percentage. I think more important for him to have that obviously as a leadoff hitter than he was hitting in the 3rd spot. But this guy has been the story, Dan, of the Cardinals in the last couple of weeks.
Tommy Pham looks at strike 1. His base running, the defense. He has 6 outfield assists. The power now at 10 home runs.
I don't know how you quantify passion and energy, but I think those things he certainly brought to this team too, and it's rubbed off.
Into right center. That ball gets down all the way to the wall. Carpenter to 3rd. Pham to 3rd. It's a triple for Tommy Pham and a 1-0 St. Louis lead.
Tommy has been hitting a lot of balls hard. He smokes this ball into right center, and nothing more exciting in baseball to me than a triple with a guy that can fly. Stand-up triple.
And it brings in Stephen Piscotty. Carpenter has scored in 6 straight games, the longest active streak in the majors.
I wonder how well Yelich saw that ball in center. Well hit ball into the gap, but I'm not sure the angle was right. And he's a Gold Glover too. It's a very good defense in the outfield for Miami, but they are definitely dealing with the sun at the moment.
Here's the 0-1. You only come to this ballpark one time, one visit by Miami, and you get that 6 o'clock start, and those players not used to this, where the Cardinals have adjusted. I'll never forget Lance Berkman saying it's dangerous at times.
Right.
0-2 pitch and a base hit into right field. Piscotty makes it 2-0 Cardinals as Pham scores. Three consecutive hits to start this game.
Rough start for Jeff Locke, and he's had a couple of those this season. And again, it's the Marlins story. They win 10-2 and they lose 10-2. There haven't been a lot of close games for the Marlins. They either get a good start and their offense carries them, or they go to their pen in the third or fourth inning. They've done that a ton this year.
Now Jed Jerko, 2-0 our score. He's 5 for 11 against this lefty with a pair of home runs. Giancarlo Stanton in right field has not moved as he has positioned himself in a shadow the light standard. Here's a 1-0.
So sometimes you just go to where it's expedient for you to be able to see the ball.
Yeah.
It may not be the right spot, but you see all the outfielders are really close to shade points because you got to be able to see the pitch. You talk with Jimmy a lot on the broadcast, which I think is terrific, where he talks about reading the pitch from the outfield, seeing the sign from the outfield and getting a feel and a movement. Well, if you can't see the batter's swing and get a judge of whether the ball's hit hard or not, you are defenseless as an outfielder.
Yelich, I agree with you. It didn't seem to be a very good jump. No shades. As Jerko yanks it foul. Let's go back to Yelich and the play and the triple by Tommy Pham.
So it's a sinking line drive. It's going away from him. He's playing in left center field, but he makes a direct route to the ball instead of going deeper to cut it off. It may have been able to cut it off as a single or double, but I think he had a hard time judging just how fast that ball was going to get on him and where it might hit. Of course, not wearing shades is an oddity considering what he's dealing with out there.
Inside to Jerko, evens it up at 2-2. A lot of home runs with the bases empty, just 2 with runners on. The 2-2 pitch to Jed Jerko. Now let's see if the Cardinals want to be aggressive here, start the runner.
I think you can do it because it's 2-0 and things are going well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's as simple as that. Forget what the numbers say. You've got a team on their heels. You've thrown a couple of haymakers already. The guy's up against the ropes. Why not? Push for more.
A 3-2 pitch. Piscotty was running and it's fouled back. It's always a fine line on when you decide to run or not. Do you have a strikeout candidate at the plate? What kind of speed is at first base? What kind of pitcher has a move that allows you to get a good or a poor jump?
Always felt that running creates pressure. And if you've got a team already feeling pressure, more pressure might crack them. And you don't feel pressure at the moment because things are going your way. So try to create some more.
Piscotty running again. And a liner softly hit into right, drops in for a hit. Piscotty read it very well. He's at third base. 4 consecutive hits for the Cardinals to start this game.
Well, we'll give credit to Piscotty for reading it, but it also may be a factor of, well, I'm past the point of no return anyway, because Stanton's got a cannon. If he catches it, I'm out anyway, so I might as well go. And even on that play, Stanton a little fumbly with it and let the ball get a little too close to him and didn't seem very comfortable in right.
Juan Nieves, the pitching coach of Miami, out to visit already. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Ozuna, Yelich, Stanton, that trio in the outfield. Prado, Riddle, Gordon, and Bohr on the infield. Real Muto is behind the plate. JT Riddle takes over for Adeiny Echeverria, who's traded to Tampa Bay.
And we're talking about the sun, but we're not talking about the ability to play defense for the Marlins. We see it in spring training every year. This team can play even without Echeverria, who we thought was one of the premier shortstops that we've seen in the National League as far as range is concerned. He has moved on, but their outfield very, very good.
4 consecutive hits for the Cardinals to start play. And here's an all-star, Yadier Molina. His 8th selection. The vote that really does show you what his peers think of him. It was selected by the players. Here's a 1-0. Very pleased. I don't know if you are, but this one counts is no longer. It's an exhibition at the All-Star game.
I threw a party when I found it out. Invited all my friends but you, Dan.
Thank you. Wouldn't have come anyway.
Yeah, I like it as an exhibition. I also like the team that has been selected, especially in the National League, which I know better than the American League. But I believe that the whole system has created the right guys. And there have been some years where you wonder if the right guys are playing. Certainly Carlos, Yachty deserve it.
3-1 the count. How good was Max Scherzer last night?
He's on a mission, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Here's a 3-1 pitch to Molina. Molina out to center. Yelich makes the catch. Piscotty tags up and scores, and it's 3-0. Yachty drives in number 36. And by starting the runner, taking that chance, it sets up what we just saw, the sac fly and the RBI.
And created more pressure for Locke, even the way he was pitching Molina with a runner at third base.
Here's Randall Grichuk.
If you don't have enough pressure, you're a left-hander that doesn't throw hard, pitching to Randall Grichuk.
Jerko is running and has himself a stolen base. His 5th of the year. Got a very good jump.
Jerko doesn't run very often, but when he does, he means it. He's been very good at picking the right pitch, the right time to go.
The 0-1 to Randall Grichuk. Base hit into left. Jerko had to make sure that that ball got through. He's at third base. Runners at the corners for Luke Voit.
Well, you feel for Don Mattingly in this moment is you've got a pitcher that's not getting anybody out, not fooling anybody. Do you go to the phone already and get somebody loose? You hate to do that. They've got a couple of long men that they've used. Vance Worley's one of them, former starter, but you can only use those guys but so much. They get worn out too if they're in there every other day.
If you're wondering, the players pick out their own walk-up music.
I was just listening to that.
And apparently Luke Voit has picked out Nelly.
You're in my
St. Louis guys.
You're in my head again. We have something else to talk about now.
You had the great responsibility a few years ago of interviewing the great Nelly.
What a moment that! I have photos of that. I can't tell you how pumped up I was to talk with Nelly on our broadcast.
Last season against the Cardinals, 13 innings, 12 earned, given up by Locke against St. Louis.
2-4 lifetime, but those 2 wins came early in his career against St. Louis. Again, he was a highly thought of starter for the Pirates. He was probably their number 2, number 3 guy at one point.
And a foul ball. Carmen Royston is watching the game at Barnes Hospital. Been through an awful lot. Carmen, we're thinking of you. I know you're watching the game and hope to see you at the ballpark very soon. It's 5 hits for the Cardinals here in the first inning. Runners at the corners. And a 1-1 pitch to Luke Voit, who's fit right in since he's been called up. First at bat, national television, hit by a pitch. First start was a week ago today in that makeup game against Cincinnati. And picked up his first major league hit, a double. The 1-2 pitch to the Cardinal first baseman.
We talked this afternoon, Luke and I, about some of the things you face when you're playing in the big leagues for the first time, and he's so excited about it. He's really just delightful to be around, but just trying to figure out your right boundaries with what you can do, what you can't do, and still stay focused on your job. And very difficult when you're playing in your hometown.
The 2-2. Voit, ground ball, backhanded at third. Long throw. Run does score. That's Jerko, and that's out number 2. Thought Prado may have had a play at the plate.
It was a late break by Jerko. I agree with you. He really didn't go on contact and probably should have. He had kind of just a stutter step right there before he went, and Prado gets the ball. I'm not sure he saw that stutter step. He may have tried to come home because he knew he couldn't get 2 as deep as that ball was. There's a hesitation. He's got the ball. I think he has a shot, but elects to go to first base to get Voit.
And that's the first major league RBI for Luke Voit. Grichuk now at second base. Paul DeYoung at the plate. And he looks at a ball. Cardinals 4 runs here in the first inning, a season high for first inning runs. One ball and 1 strike. Already 30 first inning pitches here for Locke. The 1-1. Well, you're right, Rick. When he was in Pittsburgh, he was thought of to be part of the nucleus of young pitchers that they had coming. Eric Cole, Tyone, and Locke.
In the times we saw him when he was good, I thought he had a good fastball in on right-handers. I thought that was really his pitch, and then he'd throw the changeup away. He just doesn't seem to be establishing that pitch inside at the moment. The changeup is good. That's that pitch, 82 miles an hour, but it works better if you've got the 90-91 riding in on the right-handed batter, and it has to be a strike. If it's not a strike, they'll just spit on it and look away.
The 2-2 in the dirt.
Again, no sunglasses in center for Yelich. Some guys just don't like to wear them for whatever reason.
DeYoung, and a called third strike on the inside corner. Tommy Pham with the big hit for the Cardinals. 5 hits here in the bottom of the first. A triple. A 4-0 St. Louis lead. And some of the injuries of the Cardinals. Let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, we start with Dexter Fowler, who has missed 8 games with the right heel spur. Dexter is doing all the baseball-related activities, just not in cleats. Putting on the spikes irritates the heel, but Fowler is making progress. GM Michael Gersh says the heel is calming down, and they are, quote, hopeful to get Dex back sometime before the All-Star break. Kevin Segrist on the DL with a cervical spine strain. He threw a bullpen today. Gersh says if Segrist recovers well, he'll probably throw one more bullpen before they decide what's next. Colton Wong took ground balls today and was scheduled to take BP. Wong on the DL with a right tricep strain. He's not set to return until after the All-Star break. Dan, those are your guys on the mend.
All right, Jimmy, good work as always. There's a look at Colton Wong. Not to be overlooked. Colton led the team in average and on-base percentage when he left the lineup. Justin Bour at the plate. Announced before tonight's game that Justin Bour will take part in the home run derby. And the 0-2. Justin Bour also a part of the final vote. The All-Star game, that final roster spot. Voting ends this Thursday, July 6th at 3 Central Time. And the 1-2. Strikeout of Bour. That's 3 already tonight for Adam Wainwright.
Looked like a fastball again from Wainwright, maybe a little cut to it, but again, I think they're looking breaking ball, and they get the fastball. That did have a cut right on the outside corner, but for the most part, that's a fastball, and that's a guy who has command not just throwing strikes with it, but within the strike zone. I think we talk so much about command, and we just break that down into ball or strike, but command also includes where is it in the strike zone.
Martin Prado. As you mentioned, some guys do like the sunglasses, some do not. For Tommy Pham, it's more difficult for him to have sunglasses on because of his issues with his eyes. And so if he did that, it would be near impossible for him to see.
Yeah, he was talking about wearing them. He says, I've tried them, and it's just bad. The kids can't do it in the outfield.
I just find it amazing that Tommy Pham is playing Major League Baseball. I mean, you could talk about elbows and shoulders and hamstrings and bad backs, but if you don't have eyesight, how do you play this game? He is legally blind in one eye.
When you stand, if you ever have the opportunity to stand at the plate and see a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, or even worse, see a major league curveball or a sharp slider, you barely see the ball, for goodness sake. And that's if your vision's 20/20. It's just very different. You have a half a second to pick it up from the time it leaves the pitcher's hand till it gets to the catcher. Half a second. So your reaction time has to be immediate, and your reaction time has to follow what you see.
A 3-2 pitch. Prado got that twice. Swing forward on the backswing too. Miami brought Prado back and re-signed him in the offseason. He is a very good player.
Always liked him.
Can hit, can play multiple positions, and also the team leader. 3-2 pitch. And a ground ball that's hit to Carpenter. Out number 2.
He remembers how to do that.
No big deal. JT Realmuto was talking with Tommy Pham the other day about his eyesight, and he said the thing that he's most proud of right now are the jumps and his defensive plays. And it's just been better for me. I got terrible jumps last year. Part of that due to the fact that my eyesight was poor, and he's very proud of how he's playing defense. He had a remarkable catch on the road trip in Arizona, and a great catch Friday night against Washington.
I think his routes have been very, very good, and the defensive speed has been good, and that comes from confidence of knowing you're going to the right spot. You know, you can have speed and not necessarily be fast defensively. And I've seen a stepped-up outfield play that I think has started with Tommy Pham and has become contagious with everybody else. That they've just picked it up a notch in the outfield.
A ball and a strike on Real Muto. Breaking ball and a beauty.
I think he's throwing better too than a season ago.
6 outfield assists. Locke had 34 pitches in the first inning. This is number 34 in the game for Wainwright. Hit out of play. Big crowd. Fireworks after the game. Reminder that tomorrow is a day game and all 4 games of this series will be on Fox Sports Midwest. The 1-2. Up the middle and a base hit. Am I allowed to be disappointed when I come to the ballpark? Just one time?
Just once.
I was very disappointed.
Want to talk about it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
The cowboy hat that was the giveaway last night, I was not here at the ballpark and I missed it, and I wanted one of those cowboy hats, so I was very disappointed when I arrived today.
I believe that the folks that are in charge of that promotion are probably hearing you say that right now, and I would not be surprised if somebody's not finding a stash somewhere and bringing you a hat.
I'd be happy.
And I would be surprised that that's not why you just said that.
I mean, look at that beautiful cowboy hat.
If you get a hat, will you put it on during the game?
Absolutely.
I'll be back in a couple innings.
I mean, that is a good look. Really good look.
How will you handle the headphone? Well, we'll figure it out. You're a pro.
Does have a Macho Man Randy Savage little look to it. Played with the Cardinals in the farm system.
Just ahead of me. You had many of the guys that I played
Is
with.
that right?
Oh yeah, Ray Searage, the pitching coach with the Pirates, I believe, roomed with him.
And lived to tell about it.
And lived to tell about it.
They got the fedora look too. Cardinals had a fedora giveaway last year. That was very popular. 1-2 on JT Riddle.
You're going to have one.
Well, that's a slam dunk now. And yes, I will wear it. There's a strikeout of Riddle and a good breaking ball by Adam Wainwright. 2 strikeouts in the inning. And 4 through 2. It's 4-0 St. Louis. now in its 75th year of broadcasting to American military personnel overseas in more than 170 countries and naval ships at sea. Welcome to those watching tonight, and thank you so very much for your service. That is a good look. It's a really nice hat. Great giveaway. And I'm very, very pleased to be wearing this.
It didn't take us long to find you one, did it?
It did not take long. No.
Jim Hayes gave an assist on that, by the way.
You want one?
No, I just like looking at yours. I'm not sure I can keep looking to my left here the rest of the game. You're going to wear it the rest of the game?
Well, here's the catch. Jimmy says he needs it back.
So it's a rental?
It's a rental. I mean, you can shape it. You can do anything you want with it.
That's outstanding.
Yep.
Oh, I'm going to find one before it's over that you can have.
Yeah, you can shape it.
Yeah.
See? Just feels right.
No one can say Dan McLaughlin is not patriotic.
No. No. No, sir. The strikeout of Adam Wainwright. John Rooney just texted me, yeehaw.
Oh, it's only just begun, I'm sure.
Jason Isringhausen, please take that off.
Oh, my goodness. Ken Daly said he wants to hear you sing a cowboy song while you're wearing it.
Yeehaw. I actually got Adam Wainwright to voice the spot for the giveaway. As you know, part of my job with the Cardinals is to do a lot of the promotions, at least the audio and whatnot.
You said you got a yeehaw out of Adam?
Oh, yeah. He said, do you really want me to do it like this? I said, yeah, why not? He goes, all right, I'll get into it. And he was screaming it, yeehaw. Reading that cowboy hat, boy. Card 11. That means when the Cardinals go big, you go big. Coffee, fountain, frozen drinks. Any size drink is just 50 cents the next day at On the Run. Redbird scores 6. Keep the celebration going. Stop by On the Run tomorrow for a thirst-quenching win. You earned it. Here's Tommy Pham. Rick has just taken a picture of me in the hat, and that apparently will be blackmail. Thanks a lot, partner.
May or may not be on Twitter.
Let's just keep it on your phone.
Okay. Well, Tommy Pham, we talked about him, Dan. He has been making things happen, and he certainly did that in the first inning. I think his hit was the key hit in this, and we would say that about a lot of games with Tommy Pham, that what he's done has been key, whether it's taking an extra base, stealing a base, making a play defensively.
And now he draws a 2-out walk. Why won't you look at me?
I'm afraid to.
Here's Stephen Piscotty.
I expect Tommy to run. First opportunity. So do the Marlins. I'm going to stay focused, Dan. I'm going to do the game.
That's in the dirt. Pham thought about going to second, but stays put.
And that's what Tommy Pham was doing there, looking at the defense. We get a good look at the back of Dan's head, and also the Marlins, how they're positioned defensively. I thought it was interesting. Tommy Pham was checking them all out too, in case he's got to go first to third or maybe first to home on a double.
And it's hit softly to third, and a force play at second. Oh, yeah. Eow!
Adam Wainwright threw 2 innings, and he has used his fastball, as we mentioned, in the open. 3 strikeouts on the fastball. This one up and in. This one down and away. And again, he's doing it against Marlins that are looking for the curveball, and they're surprised by the fastball, the good control of that pitch. It's been important to him through 2, and it'll be important for him the rest of the way.
Top of the 3rd, and it's 4-0 St. Louis, and a strike to Jeff Locke. Locke is 0 for 9 to start. Oh, 0-2 the count. Outside corner, but doesn't get the call. And that one is a strike. Pitch before looked better. Kia in the driver's seat. Adam Wainwright here at home. He's 5-1 with a 2.64 ERA. It's 5 strikeouts. The first 9 he's seen.
Adam clearly, like the rest of the Cardinals, on an upward trajectory over the last 8 games. Just been a different team, Dan.
That's it out of play.
Seen a little more energy overall. We talked about the outfielders, but the offense has certainly been better. Starting pitching is starting to regain its form, and Adam will lead better when he's pitching well too. Tommy Pham's still the key to me. He was the key when the Cardinals were 18-6 early in the season. He's been the key the last 8 games.
And a good problem to have will be Dexter Fowler coming back and Colton Wong, and figuring out all works out. He's playing in towards the line, and the catch made by Randall Grichuk. And with that, there's 2 outs and nobody on.
And here's what we're talking about. From the 1st to the 24th of June, the Cardinals were just 7-15. But since then, in the last 8 games, they're 6-2, scored nearly 6 runs a game, and the team ERA is much better. And the Cardinals with a chance to go into the All-Star break over 500, and that would have been a little hard to hope for, although we all were hoping for it 2 weeks ago. But been a nice run, especially, Dan, without Dexter Fowler, without some key players. Colton Wong, you mentioned, but they did it against a couple of good teams on this last road trip too.
In the dirt, 1-2 on Stanton. And a swing and a miss. Wainwright with 6 strikeouts. We head to the bottom of the third. Old Uncle Charlie looking good tonight. It's 4-0. And Carlos Martinez. And a reminder, the can't miss event of the summer hits South Beach. Baseball's biggest stars will take the field for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game July 11th, and it's only on Fox. And a pitch taken for a ball by Jed Jerko underway here in the home half of the third.
There is a lot of thump in both the National League and the American League lineups. This has been the year of the home run. We've talked about it quite a bit, but I'm looking forward to the All-Star game. I think it'll be fun. I don't think it has to count for it to be entertaining and enjoyable, and looking forward to seeing the best players in the game compete and show their stuff.
National League starters. The All-Star game, Ozuna, Blackman, and Harper, Arenado, Cozart, Murphy, and Zimmerman. So 3 Nationals, and Buster Posey, his 5th All-Star appearance, starter behind the plate.
Cannot argue with any of those selections.
Nope. There's a base hit for Jerko.
Jerko's now 7 for 13 against Locke in his career with a couple of home runs, and he got a hanger from the left-hander. A little bit more difficult to fool a right-handed batter with that curveball. Left it in the middle of the plate. Jed smoked it.
Here's Yadier Molina.
A little interesting. We're going to have a home run derby because that's really what we've been having all season long, isn't it?
It's been incredible.
Was down at the cage today, and I snuck a couple of baseballs and wanted to kind of get a sense for, is the ball different? Does it feel different? And my main observation was that the ball was hard as a rock. I'm going to take it home and use it as a hammer. I mean, it's really hard. And some will say that the ball seems a little smaller and the seams aren't quite as raised. but I definitely thought that the ball was harder.
Two and one the count. We had an interesting conversation with Todd Hollandsworth, the former Rookie of the Year when he was with the Dodgers. He's now working as an analyst on Fox Sports Florida for Miami. And he said so many teams now are pitching up in the zone, and with that sometimes you miss up. And his theory is that pitching up in the zone has led to more home runs too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that. And you look at his former team, the Dodgers, where he was such a good player. All their relievers pitch up in the zone. Now they've been successful if up is up enough. It's interesting, the mistakes up are the ones that aren't up enough.
Right past Prado and into left.
Ball hit hard. We'll see how it's scored. Well hit, but really just mishandled by Prado, who's trying to take that off to his left side so he could be ready to throw to second base. Disappointed in himself. And Yachty starting another 16-game hitting streak.
There you go.
Is he at now one? Two 16-game hitting streaks in the same season.
So runners at first and second. Nobody out. Grichuk hits a home run here. Do I take the hat off and fling it to the crowd?
You're going to have a problem with Jim Hayes if you do that, because it's a loner. But other than that, yes, I think you should.
And I say that it's a 3-run homer. It's like a hat trick.
You're just trying to get the hat off your head.
Maybe that too. Come on, Randall. Here's a 1-0. That's got a chance. Catch made by Stanton. Luke Voigt at the plate. He grounded out to third, picked up an RBI. Cardinals picked up 4 runs in the bottom of the first.
First couple of looks that we've had of Voigt, just looks like he's got good plate coverage. You look for that from a pitcher's point of view of a guy you've never seen before. Does he look like he has an area that maybe he can't handle? The way he holds the bat, does he wrap the bat around his head? Is he way off the plate? Is he way on the plate? But he seems very comfortable deep in the box. There's not an obvious place to go with him, at least for a pitcher that's not seen him before. Timing mechanism with his feet.
And the 1-1.
We see that move that he does with his front foot. Kike Hernandez does that with LA. A little bit more pronounced even. He'll pick it way up and he'll have like a stiff front leg.
The 2-1. Out to deep left field. Ozuna spun around. One hops off the wall. 1 run is in. Bowling to the third. Voigt, his third double already. The chance of Luke here at Busch Stadium.
He's from the Lou and he's proud. 2 RBIs in this game. First 2 of his career. And if he got under this just a little bit more, it'd have been a big fly. but he hits it right on the line. Middle in is the location. And there's where it ends up, over the head of Ozuna.
Runners at second and third. Still only one out in a 5-0 lead. Intentionally walked to Young, and it brings in Adam Wainwright. Nobody throwing yet in the bullpen of the Marlins.
Permission, if Wainwright goes deep, for you to throw the hat into the crowd. I'm giving it to you.
Well, how are we going to get Jimmy a new hat then?
Figure it out.
You're not worried about it?
Nope.
Bases loaded, and the first pitch. And Wainwright, look at that, 5 for 12. Already has a couple of home runs this year.
You have to respect him. You have to play deep enough as an outfielder.
Here's the 0-1. Driven into left center. One run is in. Voit will score. It's 7-0 Cardinals. Wainwright drives in 2.
About ready to say the outfield playing deep gives Voit a chance to score from second base on a base hit to the outfield. Yelich was playing a deep center field. Voit scores run number 6, 2 RBIs, and some cheers for Adam Wainwright.
And here is Carpenter, who is 1 for 2. It's still nobody up and throwing, and you just get the idea, because the bullpen has been taxed for Miami, that this is the kind of start that Jeff Locke may have to go deeper in, get beat up in, but save the bullpen.
Miami's lost 4 of their last 5 games. The Cardinals have won 6 of their last. It just sets up your bullpen differently.
And the 1-0. Ground ball that's pulled foul. Cardinals have scored 6, so tomorrow you can score any size coffee, fountain, frozen drink for just 50 cents at On the Run. Also sandwiches from On the Way Cafe, available at your nearest On the Run. You earned it.
In the latest streak for Miami, they've had games where they've given up 8 runs, 8 runs, and 6 runs.
Here's a 1-1. You still won't look at me.
I'll look at you tomorrow.
We got socks tomorrow. Patriotic socks.
Maybe I'll wear those. Jeff Locke probably not feeling very patriotic at the moment. I think he's feeling a little lonely, would you say?
Oh, yeah. In the air to center. Going back, Yelich. Near the wall and makes the catch. Runner tags. That's DeYoung, and it's an 8-0 St. Louis lead on the RBI by Carpenter, his 41st.
Looks like there's more energy in the Cardinals dugout.
Sure does.
On the bases, in the field, you name it. I just think there's more energy.
And a lot of that has to do with this man at the plate, Tommy Pham.
100% agree.
You just feed off of certain players.
And it's not that he's, you know, rah-rah and everybody else. He's just doing it himself. I think he has a passion for this game that's come from his injuries. in the thought that maybe his career's been over a couple of times, and he's getting that second chance, that third chance, and he just doesn't want to blow it. He wants to do everything he can to go as far as he can.
Nine hits already for the Cardinals, 8 runs. Here's a 1-2 pitch. 2-2. Wainwright, your runner at first base, so Justin Bour playing behind him. Adam now 6 for 27. 17 RBIs in a bases loaded situation when he's at the plate. The 2-2.
Talked about the interesting problem the Cardinals are going to have when Wong and Dexter come back. I think they'll play. There's no question. They'll play. And the question will be, how do you mix and match? And I think it is a good problem to have, but it will be a problem for Mike Matheny to get enough at-bats for everybody to keep him sharp.
On the 3-2, it's taken down and inside. Third walk. And it brings in Piscotty. So you have nobody getting loose in the pen. Juan Nieves right now, what is he saying to Jeff Locke? What are these conversations like?
I mean, I think he's got to be his friend. I talked about it being lonely right now. You just got to be with him somehow. You just got to say, look, we need you to go 4 here. You can figure this out. And of course, there's maybe some mechanical thing that he's talking to him about, but I think you just got to push him and say, we need you here. We need you to give us innings. That's your job right now. When you go out to start the game, your job is 9 innings of shutout baseball. That's how you have to think. You look up at the board, you're losing 8-0. You have to readjust and realize you've got another job. The mission's changed for Jeff Locke. The mission now is save the bullpen.
So 2 outs and 2 on. Here's Piscotty. Stevens' family is at the ballpark tonight. Single to right on an 0-2 pitch, picked up an RBI back in the first inning. And it's hit out of play.
We are only, Dan, in the 3rd inning, and every Cardinal has reached base. And you talk about having a balanced attack. All 9 players have done something. I'd say that's balanced.
And that's a base hit into right. Wainwright is held up at third. A throw in by Stanton. Bases are loaded for the Cardinals. It'll be Jed Jerko for the 2nd time in this inning.
I think if you're Don Mattingly, you're thinking, I've got to get locked to 90 pitches whenever that is. And he's getting pretty close to it already at 75.
Jed Jerko, updated numbers, is now 7 for 13. He's 2 for 2 off this pitcher lock tonight. And up for the 2nd time in this inning. The owner of 3 career grand slams. Here's the 0-1. Well, the weather has been ideal for early July here in St. Louis. Beautiful night here at the ballpark. Big crowd. And the 1-1.
And there's a lot of red, white, blue, but mostly red.
Two balls and one strike on Jed Jerko. 3-1. So 79 pitches for Locke.
Boy, this is a pitch he cannot want to throw. Bases loaded, 3-1. Guy with home run power. Yikes.
Three and 2. 35 pitches this inning alone. 34 in the first when the Cardinals picked up 4 runs. 4 more here in the third. Three-two pitch. Upstairs to Jerko. Picks up an RBI, his 41st. Wainwright scores, and it's 9-0. Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks.
Yeah, how about the patience of the Cardinals this inning? Pham was able to lay off a couple of pitches just off the plate, and Jerko lays off that pitch, which may have been a strike, very close to the high and in part of that strike zone. But the Cardinals are not chasing here. Sometimes you get a little over anxious when things are going well offensively, but they're staying locked in, to their credit.
Upstairs to Yadier Molina. RBI back in the first. A single and a run scored in the third. And the 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Right-hander just began to start throwing. That's Tazawa. Junichi Tazawa.
Tazawa began the season as a 7th or an 8th inning reliever, and he was one of the guys that the Marlins got to bolster their bullpen. They've had some issues there with Tazawa, and they do have a good closer in A.J. Ramos, but they can't get to him. Ziegler was also part of that revamped bullpen. He's hurt.
The 2-0 in the air. Right field. Stanton back at the wall. It's off the wall. Yadi on his way to second base. 2-run score. Inches away from a grand slam. This is awfully close.
Oh, he gets a lot of it. There was no question that ball was carrying. Is it out or not? Off the top of the wall. Stanton, a good effort. Boy, did he go high on that wall.
And Yadier Molina telling Randall Grichuk to step out so the Cardinals could challenge. The fans want to challenge. That's why you hear the boos. And now Yadi calling time, and Don Mattingly will take care of that. It's 11-0 Cardinals. Chevy called to the pen. Another look at the near grand slam for Yadier Molina. Box score and everybody contributing to this big lead for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Love that production up and down the lineup. You've got 2 RBIs from Luke Voit. You've got Piscotty, Jerko, Molina in the middle of the lineup with 6 hits between the 3 of them. And that last hit by Molina was a big one. Triple in the right center field gap, and Yadi coming over to talk to Jerko. I'm wondering if Jerko had said, you know what, I probably should have scored on that. But it is 11-0 after all. He maybe wasn't sure about it, but all kinds of smiles when your team is off to such a good start offensively as the Cardinals are.
442nd career extra base hit for Molina. Now tied with Johnny Mize, 13th place all time in Cardinals history. Tazawa to face Randall Grichuk. Grichuk a base hit back in the first and flied out to right.
Numbers we mentioned for Tazawa have not been good. 6.75 ERA.
That's fouled back. Flip side of this, Jeff Locke, and what a lonely feeling that must be.
It's painful. It really is. You know, as a teammate of his right now, I mean, you just don't know what to say to him, and you've been in that situation, which so you kind of know you don't really think anybody can say anything that's right to you anyway, but you just want to know they're still your teammates. So you go up and pat him on the back. You just go by, look him in the eye. Don't ignore him. That's worse. But you don't get into a detailed conversation on why you just gave up 11 runs.
Yeah.
Not now.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Smoked out to center. Yelich over and makes the catch. Huge inning for the St. Louis Cardinals. 7 runs. And in this game, 11 hits and 11 runs total. Having some fun at the expense of the Marlins. Cardinals as we move to the top of the 4th. Saturday, Alex Mejia. This home run. And he drove in 2 on the day. And a curtain call here in St. Louis. First of his career. Wearing the birds on the bat. And with more on Alex, let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, he had quite a night for himself on Saturday. You mentioned first big league hit, first big league homer, the curtain call. Mejia has built a reputation as a total team guy since he was drafted by the Cardinals in 2012. The curtain call was appreciated, but also uncomfortable for Alex. He told me, I didn't know what to do. Yadi and Grichuk told me to go out there, so I did. But Mejia, who was drafted out of the University of Arizona isn't about personal recognition. He told me as long as the outcome is a win, I don't care if I go 0 for 4. That is, if I do something to positively impact the team. Mike Matheny told me when Mejia was called up, he said to Mike, I'm ready to catch bullpens if that's what you need. Mike said that was not a sales job. That's the reputation Alex has throughout our organization. And Dan, Alex Mejia is an impressive young man, and he did have himself a night on Saturday.
Yes, he did. And Aledmys Diaz sent down to the minor leagues. Cardinals making moves to try to get things going in the right direction. And Mejia making his presence known. And a ground ball that's hit to short. Tough play to Young. Wow, what a play.
Oh, man. Nice. I love the route. I love the hands. I love the arm. Everything about that play was smooth by DeYoung. He goes to his right. He reads it quickly, gets it on the short hop, gets rid of it quickly. Yelich runs well. And to throw a baseball while you're running in one direction across your body, you ought to try that at home. A lot tougher than it looks.
Well, that catches your attention.
Sure does. You know, I like Jimmy's report on Mejia, and what sticks out to me, Dan, is the whole thought of building a reputation as a minor league player. When you're a minor league teammate, you're playing 150 games a year with guys, you're on the road with them, you're on bus trip. I mean, your reputation, I mean, you can't hide from your teammates. So you are who you are. So if he's got a reputation as being a team player from all of his minor league friends and coaches, and he is a team player. Yeah. It's not him just saying the right things. Anybody can say the right things, but he's earned that reputation day after day for years as a minor leaguer.
1-2 the count on Marcell Ozuna. Wainwright, by the way, has struck out 6. And he's allowed just a couple of hits. Now, on the flip side of what we were talking about with Jeff Locke, now you're Adam Wainwright dealing with a cushion of 11 runs.
Well, you have to be smart enough not to say, okay, well, I'll just throw it down the middle and let him hit it. That's the extreme bad response. The other bad answer would be, I'm going to try to hit corners and be overly nasty and strike everybody out. And you just have to stay with what you're doing and forget the score.
2-2 rolls foul. He was saying the other day to Jim Hayes at the Baltimore game, in which it was the shortest outing of his career, actually was a good thing.
Yeah, I heard him say that.
Was able to figure some things out, watching on video, correct them in side sessions.
But he is happy to be home and not pitching in that ballpark again.
Oh, yeah. Lowest ERA at home with one team. Kershaw, Koufax, Drysdale, Wainwright, and Hubble. Wow.
Yeah, this is since after World War I, right? That's been a long time. And just 5 guys that have an ERA under 3 that have been with one team. That's amazing.
Strikeout number 7. The Chevy Foxtrax.
Well, Waino's just carving up an all-star, and he did it with pitches away. Got him to chase the curveball down and away. He struck out Stanton twice, Ozuna twice, and he's also struck out Justin Bour once. So the all-stars are 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. Bour not an all-star yet, but maybe.
2 outs and nobody on.
He'll at least be in the home run contest. And he will not have Adam Wainwright throw to him.
Biggest question with Bour has been, can he play every day because of left-handed pitching? And it's really a fine line, because if you're Don Mattingly, you say, well, the numbers bear it out coming into this season, doesn't produce against lefties. But how do you get any better against lefties unless you play them?
That's the story of Andy Van Slyke as a young Cardinal outfielder. who wasn't going to get a chance to play against lefties, went to Pittsburgh and became one of the game's best players with more repetition. You could say that about a lot of guys. I think the Braves are trying to find that out about a guy named Matt Adams.
And Bohr launches this into right. And on the track to make the catch, it's Piscotty. We head to inning number bottom of the fourth, and it's 11-0. Part 2 of the 67 championship bobblehead. Bob Gibson part 1, Tim McCarver part 2, and it's brought to you by AT&T.
For those scoring at home about Dan's hat, the rental period has elapsed, and Danny had to give the hat back to Jim.
I did. That was disappointing too, and
but there are a number of folks, I should tell you, Dan, just want you to be ready for this. There are a number of folks that thought that the 11-0 score may have something to do with that, and there may be a little rally squirrel, Dan cowboy hat kind of thing going on here.
Trust me, I've seen it too. I'm assuming that you've gone to Twitter and looked at all the pictures that are up now. As Voit pulls that foul. Hyundai pitch arsenal on Tozawa. So if the Marlins come back, maybe you can blame Jim Hayes. Now, Jim did bring down the hat. It was a rental. I'd hate to think of where it's been prior to my head, but I did put it on.
Best not to think about.
Hat's been kind of, you know, itchy too ever since well, whatever. So it's been returned,
and the game's been fun. I mean, it really has. If you like Cardinal offense, and I know a lot of folks have been waiting for this eruption all season long, but this is a feel-good kind of game for the entire team. Everybody kind of in the act. It's not one guy carrying the team and everybody else with an offer that leaves with a sour look on their face. This is everybody feeling like they have a part in it, including Adam Wainwright, who's been terrific.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Luke Voit. Little chopper hit left side. Martin Prado makes the play. Brings in Paul DeYoung. It's just been a cleaner style of baseball as you talked about, maybe it's Tommy Pham, maybe it's the emergence of the young. Whatever the case, it has been better baseball play.
Quicker, faster, cleaner, more passionate.
And a liner. One hop and then the throw over to Justin Bour.
One of the things, Dan, as I look at the first 81 games in the year, I mentioned yesterday that it was the first half, official first half of the season. Nothing came together. Nothing was together at the same time. The hitting wasn't there, the defense, the base running, the pitching. But the good news, this is what I do like. Only 3.5 games out. Everything's starting to come together now, these last 8 days. If you can fix innings 8 and 9, I think you've really got something.
Initially bobbled by Riddle, but he gets Adam Wainwright. And the Cardinals go in order as we head to inning number 5. 11-0 St. Louis. Hats for the post-game set. Why not?
Sure would.
Adam Wainwright finishing up his warm-up tosses. Choose from Classic Coke, Wild Cherry, Blue Raspberry. Stay cool this summer with new frozen drinks from McDonald's. Patrick McCaw is here at the ballpark. Do you know who Patrick is?
I do.
Golden State Warrior. Went
NBA
to
champion.
Yeah, CBC High School throughout our first pitch.
And by the way, did you see the pitch?
He's got an arm.
Yes, he does.
Sign him up.
I think he threw a little cutter. He had a nice, I mean, he really kind of got into it. He kind of took his time, got poised, got the sign, and just went after it. I was impressed. I had a feeling there was a little baseball in his background. I think he picked the right sport, though.
Not bad. First year, and you become an NBA champion. Originally selected by Minnesota and then traded on draft night. Otto Porter, who is from this area, the state of Missouri, was just offered a max deal in the NBA. Jason Tatum going to the Boston Celtics. Pretty good hoops. Bradley Beal, another one from Chaminade. And Conzo Martin's got things going already. The interest level high at the University of Missouri. Illinois has a new head coach. Be a fun year. Travis Ford has a very talented group coming back at St. Louis University. Maybe they'll have me back to do their games this winter. I hope so.
I hope so too.
The 2-2.
Going to be with your partner tomorrow.
Scott Highmark, huh? Playing a little golf? What are you doing?
Playing a little golf.
We have a day game tomorrow.
The day after tomorrow, excuse
okay.
me. Hey, I can do it from the golf course.
Sure you could. 3-2 is a liner into right field. And a base hit for Prado.
Guess I'll have to cancel that golf. No, it's the next day.
And now tell me your favorite line that you like to tell me when I say thanks for the invite.
We were going to invite you, but we already had a threesome.
Right. Thank you. It's really nice of you. How many times I've corrected your swing over the years and this is how you treat me? Sad, really. But I'll get over it because I'll probably do all our homework for that night's telecast.
No worries.
There's JT Realmuto.
Interesting about Realmuto, Dan, if you recall in spring training, the story about him was they thought that Bohr wasn't going to make it and that he was going to have to work on playing first base, and they thought their best shot was for him to be maybe platooning with him or playing an awful lot more there, so he didn't play in the World Baseball Classic so he could work at playing first base, and now that hasn't really materialized. Was it Saltalamacchia, the other catcher, didn't pan out in spring training, and so they needed him behind the plate every day. He's a good receiver, really good catcher, and a good hitter.
Base hit into left. So back-to-back hits to start the top of the 5th inning. Chevy Fox tracks. Realmuto is 2 for 2.
This one sat up a little bit for Wainwright. The breaking pitch just sat there. Sits. It doesn't break sharply. You can tell the sharp breaking curveballs because they end up being scooped by Molina. They end up about ankle high for Yachty, even though they're a strike. The strike is where is the ball as it crosses in front of the plate. I think people get confused by that sometimes. They see the catcher where he catches it. That's not the strike zone. It is where does it go? Where is it when it goes over the plate?
And a base hit into center field off the bat of JT Riddle. And the bases are loaded. Dustin McGowan is throwing in the pen, so we'll see a pinch hitter here. It'll be Tyler Moore.
Well, Wainwright's been really good, but the location not as good this inning. That was supposed to be away, and it ran back over the inside corner. And if a pitch misses its location, it probably doesn't have the right movement on it either. If it's just sailing across the middle of the plate, it's not a sinker designed to cut back towards that inside corner. It's just sailing in and much more hittable.
So bases loaded, nobody out. And the pitch to Moore is a breaking ball. Taken down and in. We see a lot of the Marlins in spring training, and that means bench players playing an awful lot.
Oh boy.
And we see Tyler Moore in there just about every day for Don Mattingly's club.
He may have been their best player in spring training.
And that's a base hit out to left. So 4 consecutive hits and 2-run score. Let's get that cowboy hat back here.
I was wondering what was different here in the 5th. I thought it was more the location of Wainwright's deliveries, but you may be onto something. The pinch hitter Moore. Again, that pitch just sat there in the middle part of the plate. This is how fans see it here at the ballpark. That's from section 347.
D. Gordon A fly ball into shallow center. Runners stay put. And there's one away.
Well, you're not happy if you're Adam Wainwright because you were just sailing along, but of course you've got a nice margin to work with. Just, again, baseball, Dan, is such a mental thing. It's hard to describe how important having a strong mind is, because you have to adjust on the fly so often during the course of a game. If you're a starting pitcher, right now Wainwright's got to think, okay, double play, next guy. Where do I get? You're always thinking next. What's the immediate next? Not what just happened.
Stanton has struck out twice. 2 home runs. That's it at Busch Stadium. The Central Division teams on that list,
including Great American Ballpark. That's a surprise.
Here's the 0-2. Struck him out again. 8 strikeouts tonight for Wainwright.
And 3 of them have been Giancarlo Stanton. Very similar type pitches too. Fastball up and in. This time he got him actually with a cutter away the last at bat, but really just having his way with him.
Christian Yelich 0 for 2 with a pair of groundouts. Hit down the right field line, but yanked foul.
You know what that is?
Strike 1.
Just a strike. Strike 1.
You always, you talk like a pitcher.
I guess I would say I think like one, which I'm not sure that's a good thing or bad thing. But that's the immediate next thought you have to have. That's what I'm talking about. Mentally, you can't say, wow, he hit that ball hard and deep. You have to think, strike 1. What's next?
Here's a 1-1 pitch. And you're left-handed and fairly normal.
Fairly.
It's debatable.
The truck is violently disagreeing with you, by the way. I don't know if you're hearing that.
Well, I work with another lefty, and he's not fairly normal.
You got me on his bad side right now, so I'm not going to say anything about our other left-hander. I love Al. He's a great friend.
I was talking about Edmonds.
Oh.
He used to pitch.
That lefty. Tim's a left-handed batter.
It's true. Tim will be here for his bobblehead this weekend. I'm sure when he signed at the age of 17, he thought, man, I wonder if one day I'll have my own bobblehead. Runners off with this next pitch. 2 outs, 3-2 the count. 11-2 our score. (3-2) inside, and now the bases are loaded. Well, if you can't catch the games on television, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app, take Fox Sports Midwest and Cardinals baseball wherever you go. I know of an individual that used his Fox Sports Go app and watched the Cardinal game the other night as he was at a drive-through movie theater taking in Minions. And I can't quite remember the second film, but Jim Hayes was really into it.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. And he told me today, thank goodness I had the Fox Sports Go app. That is a fair ball inside that right field line down into the corner. And 3 runs will score. And Ozuna drives in 2, and that makes it an 11-5 lead.
Well, we said this was a good lineup, and they're showing it here in the 5th inning. A 5-run inning, make the game a little bit closer. There's your all-star Ozuna, who now has 62 RBIs on the season, and that brings Derek Lilliquist out for a visit. It's where it's nice to have Yadier Molina too. You got 2 coaches out there for Adam Wainwright, 2 guys he trusts. Let's put it that way.
So 5 runs in the inning, 11-5 our score. Pitch count at 89 for Adam Wainwright.
Adam has a little bit of that look of just surprised that this has happened. As good as he was throwing, as well as he was going through the lineup, he's just not getting the corners at the moment. The fastball command we talked about is just off a little bit.
One ball and 1 strike.
And at 90+ pitches for Wainwright, by the time he's done with this inning, you just have to assume this is his last.
And Bohr could make this interesting with 1 swing of the bat. Still a long way to go.
I think it's already interesting. He could make it more interesting.
Here's a 1-2 in the dirt. It's the breaking ball that you were talking about earlier. Lower in the zone. Sometimes he'll bounce that.
Even that was floating a little bit, though. It wasn't as sharp as some of the curveballs we've seen. The location was better, but he's on fumes a little bit in this inning for some reason. And the pitch counts up this inning. I think that's part of it.
The 2-2 and a fly ball lifted out to left center. It's tailing, and it 1 hops over the wall. Ground rule double. You can tell Mike Matheny is trying to squeeze him through 5. But with that, 6 runs scored by Miami here in the top of the 5th, and it's a 5-run lead.
Boy, you have to let him get through 5, don't you? I mean, it's so hard to take him out of this ball game right now. That was not a bad location, but Bohr went out and got it. Cardinals just recalled Luke Weaver, by the way. Sent out Mike Myers, who came up to work out of the pen. Now Weaver will be doing it. He's the Cardinal reliever up at the moment. Unusual for him to learn how to get loose as a reliever.
I was about to ask you that too.
It'd be better to have him start an inning if you can, which is what the Cardinals are hoping for desperately at the moment for Adam Wainwright.
2 balls, no strikes.
You have part of you saying we got to get him to get his 9th win, and then the other part of you saying the game's getting closer.
Ground ball that's hit to DeYoung. This will do it. Big inning for the Marlins, trying to get back in this game. They pick up 6. It's 11-6. in the Lumber here in St. Louis. Near grand slam on that last swing by Yadier Molina. All of a sudden now we have a ball game, don't we?
Making me wish that ball would have been about 2 feet higher. That Yadi hit, 2 more runs would have scored. Our Chevy called to the bullpen. Miami going deeper into their bullpen. This is McGowan, you mentioned earlier. And the bullpen, really the pitching in general for Miami has been one of their down points, but the bullpen a little bit better, especially the 9th inning guy. I mentioned Ramos, but the guys leading up to it have just been overworked. That's the best way to say it. Not that they haven't given effort, but they're just overworked.
Tazawa came in relief. Derek Dietrich takes over at third base. And Tazawa stranded 2 back in the third. A 1-2-3 bottom of the 4th. And now McGowan. 1 ball and 1 strike. Carpenter a bloop base hit. Run scored back in the first. Grounded out to second. Picked up an RBI and a sac fly in the third.
Remember the old days, Dan, we used to call this a good old-fashioned American League game. But I think this is just a good Major League game right now. 11-6, a lot of offense. If you like offense, you've come to the right spot.
Cardinals playing the first of 4 here against Miami. Then the Mets in town over the weekend. Tomorrow it's Lance Lynn. Wednesday Mike Leake. Thursday Michael Wacha. On the air tomorrow at 12:30. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You know, it's interesting. This game had the feel of, again, an old term that you just don't hear people talk about anymore. They've used the term laugher. When you have a big lead built, Don Mattingly's certainly familiar with the term and had plenty of those when he was pounding out home run after home run, over 300 career home runs for the Yankees. But it's a laugher's a game that you just score a lot of runs early on and just can kind of laugh your way through it.
And a fly ball left center. Yelich is over and makes the catch. Well, coming up, it'll be Game of Thrones night here at the ballpark. It'll be this Wednesday. Fans purchasing the special theme ticket receive their own Game of Thrones inspired Cardinals t-shirt. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/theme.
Finish that point about laugher. Sometimes you're laughing and then you have to stop laughing.
That's where the Cardinals are right now.
And start playing again. And not that they were being lackadaisical about it. I don't think that. Just a bad inning for Adam. But certainly it changes the mood and the tone a bit.
Tommy Pham on base 3 times tonight. Pair of walks, 2 runs scored, and an RBI triple. Are you a Game of Thrones fan?
I have never seen Game of Thrones.
Really? Well, you're missing out.
I'm not doing anything tonight. Maybe I'll just. Can I watch all the episodes tonight?
Yes, you could.
Binge watch a little?
Yep. I want you caught up by Wednesday. Here's a 1-1. Tommy Pham just keeps on hitting. Holder.
Four good at-bats in this game for Tommy Pham. A triple, 2 walks, patient walks, and a hard hit ball to the right side. I like the way he's using the right side of the infield, too. He's had some hits to the right side. You can't overplay Tommy Pham.
One out, one on, and here's Piscotty. Steven tonight, RBI base hit on an 0-2 pitch back in the first. Grounded into a fielder's choice. Single to right, scored a run in the third. Cardinals with 4 runs in the first inning, 7 in the third. And a fly ball into right center. Yelich calling for it. Makes the catch. You know, one of the plays that you think about most recently was Tommy Pham on a routine play in center. Piscotty got a pitch to drive and he knew it. He missed it. But a great play by Pham. Catch is made in center. He's running at first base, goes back to tag up. Very lackadaisical the Reds were, and he winds up at second base and came around to score. Little things like that.
I looked at that on replay 2 or 3 times after it happened, and I think Tommy did something even trickier than them being lackadaisical. I think he made it seem to the outfielder that as if he hadn't tagged up in the first place, and he was halfway, because he ran halfway and stopped, and they looked up, saw him, and just lobbed it in as if, I mean, they don't know. Now, I've actually faulted some of the outfielders for the Reds at that time of not yelling tagging, tagging, tagging. I think the outfielder didn't realize that he'd tagged up, and that's why he didn't get the ball in quickly. But that's Pham being tricky and smart on the bases.
Alex Mejia pinch hitting for Jed Jerko. Pham is running, throw down to second, and out. He's saying that he avoided the tag. Cardinals will take a look. Jerko left leg cramping, and that's why he's out of the game.
Tommy pulled the left hand back, I think, and tried to sneak in with the right. And that's an interesting question. Did he get there or not?
He may have done it.
I think he's safe as long as he stayed on the bag. I think he's safe.
I do too.
So the left hand's in. He pulls it back, and Gordon goes to tag him and misses him, and then he gets the base. I'm not so sure.
Cardinals will not challenge. One more look.
Oh, he got him.
Tomorrow for the Cardinals. We'll come your way with the pregame show at 12:30. It'll be game 2 of this 4-game series, the Cardinals and the Miami Marlins. Well, Luke Weaver was having a sensational year at AAA Memphis, named an All-Star. Those are his numbers from a season ago when he made his Major League debut at Wrigley Field.
And that number, the ERA especially, I think is a little bit off as we look at Mike Gersh, the new general manager for the Cardinals. But Weaver had a couple of bad starts, but I thought he showed well the first 3 starts he had in the big leagues. He's a fastball guy, throws 95, but has a really good changeup. And he's not a big guy, and I think people may think, well, he's a little short with his stuff, but I don't think he is. I mean, I don't think you can tell that to any minor league hitter that he's short with his stuff, even at the AAA level. At times he can be overpowering.
See if you agree with this. I thought Weaver, when he first came up, Mejia stays in the game at third base. I thought Luke Weaver was very aggressive inside the strike zone.
Yes.
And after he got hit around a
Tentative.
little bit, yeah, he got real tentative
No
around the
question
strike
about
zone.
that. No question about that. I think he lost his changeup field too. That's what the changeup is. His changeup is really a swing and miss changeup. It's not just a get over for a strike, try to get a ground ball with it. He's trying to strike you out with it.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Real Muto. Lines it foul. Every single player, with the exception of Randal Grichuk, on the field right now for the Cardinals, signed, drafted by St. Louis. Molina, Mejia, DeYoung, Carpenter, Voit, Piscotty, Tommy Pham. I mean, you just don't see that a lot with major league teams, and as active as teams are in free agency. 3-2 pitch, and a base hit into right.
I don't think if there's any knock on Weaver that we heard from a year ago is some of his fastballs may be a bit too straight, and that's what that was. That was straight, right in the middle of the plate. Not going to walk many guys. He made the comment last year, which may have haunted him a bit afterwards. He made the comment that he's allergic to walks.
Right.
And then he had a couple of games where he walked a few guys, which of course is Murphy's Law. But he is not a guy that misses the strike zone very often. He pounds the zone.
Your experience, is there such a thing as being around the zone too much?
Yeah, well, no question about it. Being conveniently wild at times is an asset. I don't think it's a problem being in the zone too much if you have great movement. Great movement makes up for that strike thing, because it's a different pitch every time.
The 2 balls and no strikes now. JT Riddle, base hit that loaded him up last inning for Tyler Moore, and he delivered with a base hit that scored 2. It's hit out of play. After the 2-0 pitch, Yadier Molina.
So
just
important.
Relax.
Yeah, so important for a young pitcher to have Yadi with you. You know what you're doing. You need Yadi on your side.
Line foul. I don't know about you, but couldn't believe it in Arizona, that foul ball that was hit by Greg Garcia, that there's not netting above that dugout.
Well, the gentleman was hit side of the head, and then a few pitches later another ball came up there and everybody was taking care of the man and not looking onto the field. Another ball came right towards them all.
And a ground ball, base hit into right. Real Muto stopping at second base. I realize they're down by 5 runs, but Real Muto, if he is aggressive there, probably could get to third base.
And Piscotty may not have even thrown to third potentially. There's a pitch right in the middle of the plate, sitting there. Not the best pitch for Weaver.
That's where I was going too. I think with a 5-run lead, you're conservative clearly if you're Stephen Piscotty, but Real Muto not even thinking about third base. Here's Derek Dietrich. Matt Bowman starting to throw. Get a sense of urgency when you see Bowman up now.
You said things were getting interesting. I think they're there. Turn over the lineup, you're going to get back to the part of the lineup that you fear, even though Wainwright handled it well the first 2 times through the lineup.
There's that changeup, and it's popped up. Shallow left center. Catch made by Grichuk. Here's D. Gordon. So 1 out and runners at first and second. And there's strike 1. Gordon, an infield hit back in the first, flied out to left, and also flied to center.
Not going to see a lot of breaking balls from Weaver. A lot of fastball changeups. Part of what maybe needs to develop a little more, that wrinkle.
Backhanded by Voit. He'll go to second. That's the only out.
It's a nice play on the backhand by Voit, and like the fact that he just did not panic and got an out. You're not going to double up that guy, probably. So you just need to get an out. Almost hit the runner. That would have been the best of all worlds for the Cardinals, wouldn't it? They hit the runner, but Voit comes up with it.
And now you have Stanton, who was struck out 3 times by Adam Wainwright. As Wainwright went 5 innings tonight, gave up 6 runs. That happened in the top of the 5th, and struck out 8. It's a big at bat in this game. Here's a 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes.
Shift in the infield, deep in the outfield.
Liner into center field. Pham is there.
Wow. He's there all right.
Absolute rocket off his bat. Top of the last half inning, and listen to this ball off his bat.
.117 miles an hour off the bat of Stanton. Sounds like some fireworks we may hear tomorrow or tonight. Tommy Pham catches it, and his hand's probably red.
Made a shot of Stanton going to break, and then in the break kept the camera on him, and he's just shaking his head like, you got to be kidding me. Alex Mejia.
It almost seemed like if Pham doesn't catch that ball, it might hit off the wall.
Could have carried there.
Is that incredible?
He's so strong. Here's a 1-0. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jerko had a cramp in his left leg, and that's why he left this game. And he had been on base 3 times with a couple of hits. Also a bases loaded walk. One and 2 the count. And a strikeout of Mejia. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by your local St. Louis area Volkswagen dealers. Beautiful night here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is here as well. Molina, a couple of hits, a single and an RBI double that brought in 2 back in the 3rd. And that's another base hit into the gap in right center. Yachty on his way to second base, his 2nd double.
Well placed in that right center field gap by Yachty. There's the swing, the crack of the bat for Molina. Yelich running it down in the gap. And Yachty on second base again. Well, more runs, right?
Need him now. 101 miles per hour off the bat of Molina. Here's Randall Grichuk. 1 for 3 on the night. Such a long year. Last time that we saw the Marlins, the Cardinals had a sweep and a perfect road trip. Started in Atlanta. 3-game sweep there, then 3 games in Miami. We saw the emergence of Magneuris Sierra. Cardinals getting contributions from many of their young players. And now St. Louis has won 6 of their last 8, including 2 series wins against 2 of the better ball clubs in the league in Washington and Arizona.
Part of being a team is picking each other up. You see Dexter Fowler communicating with Tommy Pham. And you know, right now Tommy Pham's the guy. You know, 2 weeks ago Dexter Fowler was the guy. 2 weeks from now, who knows? But you're still teammates, and I think that's part of what you have to do over the course of a long season, support each other. They're not your competition, they're your teammates.
You're Michael Gersh, and you're seeing an uptick in play. Cleaner baseball that we've talked about may complicate things in a good way in what direction you go at the trade deadline. General manager of the Cardinals, president of baseball operations is John Mozeliak. Two balls and 2 strikes. Big gap in left center and a 2-2 pitch. Got him. McGowan, his second strikeout. There's a look at John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations. Through 81 games last 2 seasons. Cardinals 8 games back this time last year with a better record than this year, under 500, and yet 3.5 out.
Just 4 games behind last year's pace, but they've got the uptick going, I think, lately, as we mentioned, and certainly more of a chance. You've got Milwaukee, Chicago, Pittsburgh, I think all possibilities. I think Cincinnati's still, despite their lineup, they're rebuilding their pitching staff. That's still an issue there, work in progress, but it's going to be an interesting division second half.
You think about the Cubs this time last year, it seemed like every position on the National League All-Star team was a Cub. This year they have 1 going. 1-0 pitch to Luke Voit. The Cardinals in the second half of the season, every road trip is 3 cities with the exception of 1. And right now they're in the midst of their longest homestand. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Voit. The high fly ball opposite way. Stanton back and in front of the track makes the catch. Live look at the Ford Plaza. Cardinals on top 11-6. The 7th inning here at Busch Stadium. Time now for the T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball Break. 23 first-time All-Stars selected. Astros, Yankees, the Nationals all with 5 All-Stars. And Yadier Molina will be his 8th All-Star selection. Most among all players selected. That's a look at your T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball Break.
Happiest of those 3 things about Yadi being selected, but second happiest about the fact that there's 30 players 27 or younger in our game that are our stars. That's just such a great thing for the future of baseball. As we look at our Chevy call to the bullpen, the left-hander Tyler Lyons, who's been very tough on lefties lately. I think he's done a nice job with the transition to being kind of a 1-inning guy out of the bullpen.
Christian Yelich start things off. And he looks at a fastball and a strike. Adam Wainwright, 5 innings tonight. Luke Weaver, the 6th. And now Tyler Lyons, the 0-1.
Filthy. It's so nasty. We've seen a couple left-handed batters on the last road trip literally jump back as if the way you did when you were 11 and the guy threw the first curveball to you that you've ever seen.
There it is again.
It's very difficult to pick up, evidently. Hitters just don't see it. They don't see the spin. They think it's coming at them. It has a real sharp break to it.
Swing and a miss. There's that breaking ball. And a strikeout to start the 7th.
Tight spin. Goes down and away. And when they break on 2 planes, they're just much harder to hit. We talk about a hanging pitch. It usually is one that's only breaking on 1 plane or breaking with less sharpness to it. Good start for Tyler.
Marcelo Zuna. Two balls, no strikes. Ozuna, bases loaded double, back in the 5th. Came into play. 7th in the National League in RBIs. He's now up to 62. Paul Goldschmidt, number 1 at the start of play today, was 66.
Oh my.
It's like a wiffle ball.
It is. It's
Plaza
a frisbee.
Tire Service Fox Tracks. Watch this.
It's not a frisbee. Outside? Nope. That wasn't even easy for Yachty to catch, was it?
There it is again. Ozuna just shaking his head.
I think he yelled at Yachty for calling another curveball.
He's got it working tonight. Man, oh man.
Off the plate and then on the outside corner. And I do think he was telling Yachty, why did you call that again? You know I can't hit it. I told you.
Even Yachty had a little smile.
He did. Well, they'll be teammates in a week or so.
So 2 outs and Justin Bour. Now you get the feeling this would be a very tough matchup for Bour. He's probably thinking, I'm going to get that breaking ball, and he got a strike right down the middle.
Get a breaker here. Oh, fooled me and Justin Bour. Boy, I'm out too.
Oh, 0-2 pitch.
He overcooked that one. He was excited about throwing that one. He saw strike 3 striking out the side in his future, which still could happen. Probably go back to back. Yes, he will.
And the 1-2. Bour with an RBI double back in inning number 5. This one flied out to right and was called out on strikes. The 2-2 hit out of play. I would imagine, Rick Hort, there are just some nights you got a feel for that pitch.
Oh yeah. He can't wait to throw it again. He'll throw it 3-2 here, I would guess, after missing with the fastball.
And it's a walk by Bour.
27th annual Christian Day at the Ballpark is presented by Thrive-In Financial. It'll be Sunday, July 30th. This year's featured post-game speaker is Lance Berkman, former Cardinals All-Star and a 2011 World Series champion. For tickets or for information, you can visit cardinals.com/Christian Day.
Ichiro Suzuki, a treat anytime he comes to the plate. 3,000 hits and counting.
Oldest player in Major League Baseball, with Bartolo Colon being designated for assignment earlier this week. Ichiro is the oldest, but I can tell you his body's not the oldest. He's in better shape than some players for sure, and although I'd say most players in baseball now are in good shape. They work hard, they really do.
2-0 pitch. 3-0.
There was a time where my football player friends would say, all baseball players, you guys don't, your guys aren't in shape, you guys, well, you cannot say that anymore. And there was a time where players would be a little more interested in hand-eye coordination than fitness.
And that's ball 4. So back-to-back walks. He struck out the first 2. Back-to-back walks, and now Derek Lilliquist out to visit.
Well, he really got off his rhythm on the 0-2 pitch that he tried to overcook, and he tried to do too much with it, and then he just couldn't get the feel back again. It's like he just threw himself off his rhythm, I would say, on that 0-2 delivery. Instead of throwing a good slider down and away, he tried to throw the perfect, nastiest curveball he could throw. And he's still trying to recover from that.
Curveball taken inside. JT Realmuto.
He can hit. Said it. We see him every spring training. He's hitting tonight. He hits every time I see him.
And the 1-1. Hit out of play. 1-2 the count.
Well, Luke Weaver bent a little, Dan, in the 6th inning, but didn't break. Tyler Lyons hoping for a bit of the same here in the 7th.
And a little bouncer that's hit to DeYoung. He'll go across the diamond. Good work by Tyler Lyons. Couple of strikeouts. Time to stretch. 11-6. Miami fam, another big night. Adam Wainwright was cruising through 4, but then gave up 6 runs in the 5th. It's also a Honda home run inning. Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. The Cardinals player hits a home run here in the bottom of the 7th. New pitcher is Nick Whitgren. Right-hander takes over. They've used Tozawa, McGowan, and now Whitgren. It's our Chevy Cole to the pen. Our crowd tonight, 42,694. 42,694. 30th appearance for Nick Whitgren of the Miami Marlins. Here's DeYoung. One ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1 pitch to the Cardinals shortstop. Popped up into shallow right. D. Gordon going out. Stanton coming in. And he makes the catch. Friday night, Fox Sports Midwest presents our annual This One's For You broadcast honoring our armed forces. And this year, we highlight soldiers from the 1st Battalion, 138th Infantry Regiment of the Missouri National Guard. This One's For You, Friday on Fox. Hope you join us. Always a very meaningful broadcast that we've done over the years.
Oh my goodness. So many great moments. Think about some of the reunion moments and just some of the people that we've gotten to meet. Dan, just incredible servants, men and women who give their lives and their careers and their hearts to serving us. It's just really kind of tough to deal with sometimes, to realize that somebody is that brave and courageous. Humbling, I would say, to be around some of them. Many of them.
Jose Martinez at the plate. We've had marriage proposals. We've had soldiers that come back and will catch a ceremonial first pitch in full gear, thinking that it's a player doing it. Take off the mask, and all of a sudden they're back home. And when I see the kids run out to that parent, that's when it really hits home. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. 3-0 pitch. And a walk to Jose Martinez. So many times we have the link up, the satellite, with that infantry group that is overseas. And we'll pan the crowd on purpose so that the fans that are there, or the soldiers that are there, can see in the crowd the fans of loved ones that maybe they haven't seen for weeks, months. In some cases it would have been over a year. Now things have changed technology-wise, sure, with FaceTiming and cell phones, but we first started doing it, that was not even the case. They could not see their loved ones. And so when we would start doing it, we'd have the satellite hookup. It'd be about 8 to 10, maybe 12 seconds delay, but those loved ones would see each other for the first time. And number one was they hadn't seen each other for over 2 years. Incredibly powerful and emotional night. Two balls and no strikes. Matt Carpenter, blue base hit back in the first, scored a run, grounded out to second, sac fly, the RBI in the third, and flied out to center. The 2-0 pitch. talked about working up in the zone, also working down in the zone, and that's what Whitgren has done here with Carpenter.
Some pitchers work better up, some work better down. And despite the strength of the guy at the plate, if you're a sinker ball pitcher, sinker slider guy, you don't ever want to be up in the zone. I'd say almost never. A guy like Matt Bowman, very rarely should he be up in the zone because he's a sinker slider changeup guy. And up in the zone usually means a hanging slider or a bad sinker or a bad changeup. So it's just not your thing.
The 2-2 pitch. Bowman getting loose in the Cardinals' pen. He would have the 8th. And we'll see what direction Mike Matheny wants to go in the 9th.
I would expect we'll see a lot of down in the zone from Bowman. When you see Rosenthal, it's up. He can get you to chase. And when I say up, it's belt high or above. You're throwing 100 miles an hour, they're not going to catch up to it very often.
The 2-2 pitch. Carpenter with a high fly ball out to deep left field. Ozuna going back, makes the catch. Martinez racing back to the bag at first, and there's 2 down.
Carpenter's had a couple of long, loud outs, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
So Martinez gets the second in case the ball drops. He's going to be able to score. But once you go past the bag, you have to make sure you touch it again on the way back.
Here's Tommy Pham. Big night for Tommy. 2 walks, a single, and an RBI triple. Good fastball at 93. Oh, 0-2. Milwaukee posted a victory today over Baltimore. 8-1 the final from Miller Park, so the Cardinals trying to keep pace. They would stay 3.5 back. Ball gets away. Martinez reads it, and
Good
he's
read.
at second base.
Good read. I think situationally that's a smart time to go to with 2 outs. He takes the secondary lead in the dirt. He's off. He's one of those guys I don't think is necessarily a fast outfielder, but I think he runs the bases well. Faster on the bases than he is in the outfield.
Nearly hit Pham. Pham, base hit into right, off the glove of Gordon. And Martinez will score, and that makes it 12-6.
Taking that extra base leads to that extra run. And another RBI for Tommy Pham.
His 3rd hit of the night.
We talked about him going the other way well, too. He does it a lot. Inside out swing, but he hits it hard. Gordon just trying to knock this ball down. That's his job, to try to knock it down. Martinez, who's on second because of the advancement on the wild pitch, scores easily.
Here's Steven Piscotty. 12 runs scored by the Cardinals, a season high. The previous high 11 in a win at Baltimore.
$18 runs, 24 hits in this game.
So like you said, if you love offense, this is the game to be watching.
And there may be more coming. Stay tuned.
Tommy Pham on base 5 times. Second time he's done that in his career. Scotty, base hit to right on an 0-2 pitch back in the first. That scored a run. As he picked up the RBI number 29. He scored 2 runs tonight as well. Here's a 1-2.
Cardinals had a 10-run game in Arizona. They had a 10-run game in Baltimore. Who doesn't? Fifth time all year they've scored in double figures.
Strikeout of Piscotty. The Cardinals, though, pick up a little insurance thanks to Tommy Pham. On base 5 times tonight. It's 12-6. With Bryce Harper's 2 home runs last night, salvaged a game in the series here at Busch Stadium. But they need some help at the back end of their games, there's no doubt. Chevy called to the pen. Matt Bowman is in for St. Louis. His team ranks the IRS percentage, inherited runners scoring. That's what that stands for, the IRS.
It's not a tax situation.
No, sir.
But he's also good at getting ground balls 57, nearly 58% of the time, and that's because he is a sinker slider guy. Again, with the changeup, he's going to try to stay down in the zone and get that.
Voit takes it himself. 1 pitch, Riddle retired, and that's the first out. Here to start the top of the 8th. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Now, if I took a picture of your hat off the air, that is not disseminating broadcast information,
well,
is it? Is that on the edge?
Put it this way, watch yourself. I might have to call Mr. DeWitt and say, Mr. DeWitt, one of my partners is acting up again. And he'd probably tell you to tread lightly.
Is this a daily call you make to Mr. DeWitt?
No, we don't talk about that. Here's a 1-1. You think about the Miami ownership situation and what they've had down there compared to what we have here in St. Louis.
Danny, we both know a lot of people that have worked for companies that are in transition. Just think about that reality, what that is like to go to work every day knowing that your company's been sold or bought or changing ownership, and it's hard.
2-1 is a double in the gap in right center. Dietrich to second base with 1 out.
You're marketing the team, you're selling tickets, you're talking about the future of a club that is so uncertain. It's just hard at every level, their front office level and all the way down to the field. Bowman tries to stay down, and that one's up. Ooh, did he touch first base? Let's see. On this angle, I'm still not sure.
Nope. And here is D. Gordon. You have an owner in Jeffrey Loria that, let's just put it kindly, is not beloved in Miami. And some fans stay away because of ownership, unhappy with how the stadium situation unfolded there. They've dismantled the team time and again. That goes back to the Wayne Huizenga deal. They won the World Championship in 1997. Again in 2003. Both times that they've won, they've been the wild card. Here's a 1-1. Bowman lets it go and out at first.
There were about 3 good decisions made on that one little ground ball back up to the box, and first one was Matt Bowman not reaching out to try to catch it. Second one is the runner getting back. The third one is DeYoung trying to tag the runner and still able to make the throw. He was thinking, everybody thinking. That's the way baseball should be played.
The only way you're going to double up D. Gordon is on a type of situation like that. Here's Stanton with 2 outs and a runner at second. Back to Bowman. Good work by Matt. Underhands to first. And Stanton is hitless tonight. 12-6 St. Louis. brought to you by Bud Light, famous among friends. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Garcia into the ball game for the Miami Marlins. Their lone lefty as we move to the bottom of the 8th. And it's 12-6.
Arlen Garcia was a starter for them. And really, they're looking for starters, too. They're looking for somebody that can give them 6+ innings to help out their bullpen. But they moved him to the pen. And his number's good. Batting average against lefties and righties can't get much better than that.
Alex Mejia will be the batter. 25 hits combined in this game, 18 runs. Mejia came in the 5th inning. Some cramping issues for Jed Jerko, the back left leg. And a ground ball that's hit to short. JT Riddle to his left and makes the play. StubHub is your ticket out to once-in-a-lifetime experiences, from Cardinal games to amazing concerts to shows you just don't want to miss. StubHub connects you with the world of live. StubHub, your ticket out. StubHub is the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of your St. Louis Cardinals. 6-run lead, and Eric Fryer will be the batter for Yadier Molina. Big day for Yadi with a pair of doubles, a single, and 3 RBIs.
I have to say the Marlin bullpen has given him a chance, if you want to use that word, if they would have been able to get a couple of big hits in the 6th and 7th inning to get it closer. But the Marlins bullpen has been good, but you just wonder how all these innings in this game will affect them the rest of this series. Everybody that we've seen here, we've seen McGowan throw 2, we've seen Tazawa into a 2nd inning, and you had to use 4 pitchers. Don Mattingly in what could be a loss. It's going to affect tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
3-1 the count. Sam Tuivailala is throwing in the Cardinals bullpen. And a full count on Fryer. I believe he felt the last 2 pitches probably were low, but he's got to go in and catch.
Right.
And the 3-2 pitch. He walked him. 1-out walk for Fryer. We were talking about Marcell Ozuna and the pine tar on his bat. The original pine tar game was Tim McClellan, George Brett going ballistic, and Don Mattingly was a rookie that season with the Yankees. It's one of the great reactions in the history of baseball to see him get called out.
Well, as I recall, he just hit a home run, correct? And so you wonder if that's going to happen to Ozuna at some point, instead of an umpire just saying, no, you can't use that bat. What if he had to hit a home run early? And you and I were talking about the pine tar being, well, it had to be close to being too high up the bat. You know, the whole reality of pine tar, which, by the way, is a substance that pitchers are not allowed to use, but hitters are, which I think is a little bit, you know, we need to change that. We need to work on that, Dan. Right, our congressman.
That'll be in my conversation about.
We talked to Mr. DeWitt about that, the Rules Committee, maybe.
Yeah.
But the pine tar obviously is meant to give the batter a better grip and on his bat. I mean, the whole idea is they'll wear their batting gloves. They'll go up and grab some of the pine tar to get a firmer grip on the bat. And the fact that it's too high up on a bat, I can't explain why that is really a big deal. Other than I don't know why you'd even want it up there. You asked that question earlier as to whether or not. And you look at Grichuk. Now Grichuk's bat is two-toned It's not necessarily pine tar, but I think Osuna's is.
The 2-1 pitch breaks his bat. Ground ball that's hit to third.
Once it breaks, you can put all the pine tar you want on it.
Load it up.
Load it up.
Not sure you'd want to take that home as a souvenir. Stick to your rug.
I'm aware of some pitchers in the past that would have their own little pine tar areas to help enhance. The pitcher will use it if he gets away with it.
Did you use it?
I did not. I did not. I didn't like the feeling, frankly, of stickiness, but pitchers who threw hard curveballs would like it, especially on a cold day.
And 2 outs and a runner at second. Kenny Rogers in the 06 World Series clearly was using a foreign substance, probably pine tar. And I know a lot of fans were saying, why didn't Tony make a bigger deal out of it, Tony La Russa? The reality is his guys are probably doing the same thing. And it did, though, bring into question at that time in the game of baseball how many pitchers are using that. Michael Pineda a couple years ago had it on his neck.
Probably more than you would think. And I think more were using it for reasons that were just about getting a good grip on the ball, again, to get good bite on the curveball.
Well, you mentioned something important, too, on a cold day.
On a cold day. Well, there are many people in baseball that believe it would enhance the game and it would be better for pitchers and it'd be better for hitters if pitchers had a better feel of the baseball.
Three and one. Three and two.
I also had a pitcher that I won't name that tried to teach me how to throw a spitball. And I learned how. And I would throw the ball as straight as an arrow. I mean, it didn't move an inch.
Is that right?
So I quit.
Point. Center. His first in the big leagues. A long one to center field. Go ahead, Luke. Smile. I know you want to. The St. Louis kid, his first major league home run, and he does it at Busch Stadium. Awesome.
He's smiling and so are we.
Here's Paul DeYoung, 14-6. DeYoung knew the curtain call was coming. Took his time getting in the batter's box, stepped out a little bit, fiddled with the gloves. Luke Voit, his first ever major league home run. He's got a double tonight as well. That was a bomb to center, too.
He knew it, too. You can see right leaving the box. There was no question in his mind that he got it all.
429 feet. Put it on David Freese Hill, too. Ground ball that's hit to short. Luke Voit, his first ever major league home run. St. Louis kid, grew up a Cardinal fan. Now wearing the birds on the bat. He knew it. First in the big leagues. Congratulations to Luke. First ever big league homer moments ago. The Cardinals shifting Carpenter to second base to create some opportunities for guys to keep them sharp, like a Luke Voit. Who knows? So Sam Tuivailala on our Chevy call to the pen.
Numbers have been good for Sam. Walks down a little bit, more strikes.
Ground ball to second, handled there by Greg Garcia. We lost a big Cardinal fan on Friday night. Patrick Duff, Army veteran, 30-year St. Louis police officer, never missed a Cardinal game, and our thoughts and prayers with the Duff family. Never missed a game. Marcell Ozuna with one out, 14-6. The Cardinals with the lead. Really haven't seen all that much of the cutter from Tuivailala. More of the traditional curveball and very good fastball.
It would behoove him to be able to use both. Just an extra weapon for him. The fastball, 98. He's got some hop to that fastball, but the cutter and the slider, the breaking ball, to be able to throw both of those pitches would make him even more dominating.
Here's the 0-2.
I still feel like he is a gem just waiting to be refined.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Ozuna to third. Mejia, 2 down. Budweiser player of the game, Yadier Molina, 3 for 3, couple of doubles, and he drives in 3.
You know how good a night it's been? It's been such a good night that you can go 3 for 3, walk twice, be on base 5 times, and not be the Budweiser player of the game.
Tommy Pham.
He's okay with that.
Let's see, what else do I need to do? And a strike to Justin Moore with 2 outs.
I still like our selection, but it's been a good all-around game.
On their feet here at Busch Stadium. Lance Lynn tomorrow afternoon. 12:30 with our pregame show here on Fox Sports Midwest. Four runs in the first, 7 in the third, 1 in the 7th, 2 more in the 8th. The 1-2. The 2-2. 2-2 pitch to Bohr. And a base hit into right field. The backup catcher is Ellis, A.J. Ellis. Strike one.
Stuff looks good from Sam, doesn't it?
Here's a 1-1 pitch. And again, the Marlins down to their final strike. The 1-2. It's a patriotic look by our catcher Eric Fryer, that chest protector. The 2-2 up the middle and a base hit. So twice Ellis and Bohr both down to their final strike and singling.
Both with good at bats, hanging tough. Pitch middle. Sam heard that one go by him. Well, we'll build the tension again. Crowd seems to be enjoying it. They haven't taken a seat yet.
Get out of play. JT Realmuto at the plate. 14-6 our score. Here's the 0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Could be a pretty good pitch.
I thought that was a strike on that cutter. Maybe it's a little bit low, or maybe it's a strike.
The 1-1. And again, Marlins down to their final strike.
And the fans standing again and hoping for that strikeout again.
Here's a 1-2 in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ground ball. This should do it. Mejia, force play at second. The Cardinals win it 14-6. They take game 1 of the 4-game series.
So many good things in this game. Tommy Pham, Luke Voigt, first major league home run. Pham on base 5 times. The Cardinals, their season high 14 runs and a huge crowd on hand. Early 4th of July celebration. The Cardinals offense showed up big time here in game 1 of this series.
So it's off to the post-game show. Adam Wainwright picks up win number 9 as he struck out 8. Good work by the bullpen. Tommy Pham, another big night. Big night for Yachty as well. 14-6 the final.